Don't want to waste any time here. We have Erik Hynes from Hynes Restaurant Group. He's also the owner of Precinct 10, a restaurant I know a lot of you guys are familiar with. Erik, you are coming on today to talk a little bit about Charlie Baker and his latest announcements. Can you let everybody know the sudden shift that Charlie Baker is taking towards restaurants?
Thanks for having me on, Grace. Congrats on the new show as well.
Thank you.
But this is so painfully cringeworthy, the timing of this announcement, and utterly predictable as well. There was no reason to impose a 9:30 curfew in the first place. I did an interview on a local news channel back on November 6th when this curfew went into place. And my message, which was live, I said, there's no reason for this. The data does not support a curfew, and it's absolutely going to backfire because more people are going to be at house parties and other places. And sure enough, COVID numbers rose. Restaurants were exonerated in data, but not in restrictions, because it was proven that less than 0.5% of positive cases were linked to restaurants. So all the numbers and data have been on the side of restaurants this entire time, yet we were massively restricted into the ground the whole time. Now, all of a sudden today, on coincidentally enough, the first full day of Biden's presidency, COVID numbers are looking better. Hospitalizations are down, according to Governor Baker. He touted the vaccine is here, I heard him say on the press conference this afternoon. And all of a sudden we can loosen up on restaurant restrictions. The timing, it's so predictable.
It's shameful, though, and I am not surprised no one in the press calls him out. But, Erik, what kind of situation has Governor Baker put these restaurants in? Because I know that your restaurants, you guys have been around for a long time, but there's a lot of restaurants that probably are not going to come back from this.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that, around 25% of Massachusetts restaurants have closed permanently so far. And those are the ones that have come out and said that they're closed. I mean, that doesn't even take into account the places that have just been closed for months and have not made an official announcement. But these restrictions have massively hurt this industry that didn't deserve it. Just looking at the numbers and the data and following the science as we're constantly told to do, the numbers do not support this level of restriction on restaurants. While, you can go and, manhandle all the apples at Stop and Shop, and, that's no problem. But
I'm so guilty. I'm laughing because I'm so guilty of doing that. Like, I always double check for all the spots on it. And I think to myself, how is this allowed? And I can't go sit at a restaurant that's been cleaned like 6,000 times.
No, but what's happened to the industry, though, is that because of all these restrictions, I mean, so many have closed. And if you look at the city of Boston, I mean, a huge percentage of the big name restaurants in Boston are all in winter hibernation. Who knows when they're going to come out of that, or if they will, because the damage is already done with all this stuff. And the toll that it's taken on employees of restaurants as well. I mean, we're forcing all of these people, through no fault of their own, onto a unemployment system in the state that is riddled with problems, delays, fraud, all kinds of things. So it's just been a terrible situation. And the timing of today's announcement, how today is the first day that we're seeing, a positive news in, the spread of the virus. How today are we seeing that for the first time? The timing is just ridiculous.
And Erik, you bring up a really good point about people who work in the restaurant industries, because the owners are obviously very frustrated, but the actual staff has been hit really hard. And my question for you is, I come into work every day and I'm with people who have been working, and we come into the office and, life kind of goes on as normally as it can for us. It hasn't changed that much. Have you been seeing mentally this really take a toll on people? Because you must be surrounded all the time with busboys and waitresses and bartenders whose lives have been really destroyed these last couple of months. It hasn't been, work from home, have my laptop in the kitchen. It's been, the whole world has changed.
Absolutely. We're fortunate that our restaurants are still doing, as well as can be given the situation. But we've had to cut staff. I mean, if we're operating at 25% capacity or reduced capacity and closing early, we don't need as many guys in the kitchen. We don't need as many bartenders or servers. So we're cutting staff. That's putting people back on, like I said, the problematic unemployment system. But even the ones who are working, they're not making as much money as they're used to. I have situations where people are bringing in groceries for people who work for me because they know that these, certain members of our staff are struggling, trying to support their kids and their families. And people are donating groceries. We've made donations to our staff. I have examples of one employee who has had some major health problems, and she's not able to get any money from unemployment because it's just so delayed.
Right. No, it's devastating. And when you hear Charlie Baker come out today and say, "Oh, we're going to lift the curfew," which, like you said, he could never explain. But it's not just insulting that he's lifting the curfew, the day after Biden's inaugurated. It also just makes you think of all of the ridiculous hoops you guys have jumped through over the last couple months that really didn't make any sense. And I remember reading a story, I think it was from the New York Post, because New York City's obviously taken, a big hit from this as well. And it was a restaurant owner who said she had purchased so much stuff to try to fit the rules and regulations, whether it was plexiglass or cleaning stuff or, tape on the floor for socially distancing. I mean, it just must feel like a slap in the face to you that this has been all really, really political, and it's becoming more obvious as each hour passes.
If there's any proof that this has been political, look at the timing of today. I mean, at least wait another week and make it more disguised. But to come out on the first day when Biden is in office, I mean, it's just, like I said, it's painfully cringeworthy. I mean, why today? Why not yesterday? Why not last week? Why not next week? Why is it today all of a sudden?
Because you know what? Charlie Baker's a true Democrat. And one thing I've noticed about Dems is that they really lack nuance and they lack subtlety. They can't help themselves. And Howie used to say, "Oh, Charlie Baker must really believe this stuff." But it's clear he doesn't, because if he comes out today, like you said, Biden's in there, it's just so obvious that this was all, going along to get along while he could hurt Trump.
Right, exactly. And, we're seeing the same situation in other places as well. I mean, I think it was last week or a week and a half ago, and, again, it was after we already knew Biden would be president. Governor Cuomo in New York said the exact same thing that, what we're seeing today in Massachusetts, where we need to lighten up on the restrictions because it's decimating our local economy. Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, said the exact same thing. It's time we help out these restaurants and we need to get them back open. Again, the timing of it is insane. I mean, Governor Baker today said that we're able to do this and loosen up because he's seeing declines in positive cases and lower numbers of hospitalizations. But is that the case in New York and Chicago as well? Because they also are loosening restrictions or planning to. But I don't think their numbers are going down. It all is a giant ball of politics.
And it's funny because it's not really funny, but it's ironic. They can afford it now. They can afford to take their foot off the pedal and they can say, "Oh, we can loosen up and, the curfew's not really doing anything." They can afford to let this happen now because Biden's president. But really, a lot of these restaurants, they can't afford it anymore. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that Charlie Baker's happy and that his friend Joe Biden's in the White House. They're never coming back.
No, like I said, the damage is done. I mean, it's been 10, 11 months of, massive restrictions, and especially targeted on the restaurant industry. And it just, the numbers don't bear out. I mean, the numbers did not call for this level of restriction on restaurants. If anything, it caused, more damage by locking them down. I mean, people, like I said before, just were forced into their houses. And the numbers, to give you the numbers, the last time I checked was a couple of weeks ago, but the governor in the state had said that we need to reduce mobility of people in order to stop the spread. But that's exactly the opposite of what the numbers say. The numbers have said for the past month that 95% of the spread is coming from places where there either is no mobility or, people don't want to leave or can't leave. That's houses, prisons, nursing homes, and long-term care facilities. That's 95% of the spread coming from those places where there already is no mobility. And less than half of 1% of positive cases have come from restaurants. But we bore the brunt of everything.
Yeah, and I saw a similar article coming out of California that because they closed so many restaurants down, a lot of people did go into their houses. You invite friends over. And it makes you realize how important restaurants are, because I'm so guilty of always going out to eat. And I love getting dressed up. My dad always jokes, I get it from my mom, because you could say to my mom at any point, "Hey, you want to go out to this restaurant?" And she always says, "I'll get my coat." That's like her go-to response. "I'll get my coat." She's really fast with it. But it does make you realize that for a lot of people, those little social interactions, it's part of what you have to look forward to. Like for me, it was always Friday night, maybe I'll go to Precinct 10, I'll get a cocktail, or Saturday night, we'll go here. And it's really created this sadness in the world that people are shuttered in their homes. And like you said, now it's more dangerous because everyone's bringing people in.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's one thing we don't talk about is the mental toll and mental health as a result of all of these restrictions. I mean, other countries have talked about it. I know in Japan, suicide was a massive problem.
Yep.
Back in the month of October, more people died of suicide in Japan than had died from the virus this entire time. And I feel like in this country, and especially in this area, we're not really talking about the toll that it's taking on mental health. Restaurants are places where people go out to socialize and be human beings, and that was taken away for so many months. And the effect has just been awful on people's health.
Erik Hynes, the Hynes Restaurant Group, he's an owner of Precinct 10 as well as other restaurants. Where can people go, Erik, to support your restaurants and your businesses?
Yeah, I mean, any of our websites. We're down on the South Shore, so we have 2 restaurants in Weymouth, one in Quincy and one in Plymouth. But if you just want to go to precinct10restaurant.com. It's precincts like a police precinct, the number 10restaurant.com, and you can kind of see all the menus from the various restaurants. But, we're looking back, we're looking forward to getting back to normal. At the end of the day, the announcement today does help us.
I know. I totally get how you feel, though. It's like, it's a slap in the face, but at the same time, and I almost hate saying that because I felt that way, Erik, when Joe Biden was elected. I'm using air quotes. But I felt like as much as I'm sad that Trump's not going to be president, at least they'll be satisfied enough where they'll let us continue to live our lives. They'll allow us to work again.
Yeah, I know. I guess the beatings can stop now.
Yeah, exactly. Morale has improved.
Yeah, exactly. And I know you have to go, but, Governor Baker and all of these governors across the country, they're not dumb people. They're intelligent. They know that, they had to have known, especially here in this state, that curfews were going to backfire, that it was going to force people back into the houses. They had to have known that, but, they did it anyway. And that just proves to me that it was political.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Erik. If everyone wants to check that out, make sure you go to his website. Precinct 10 is a great restaurant. I love it there. By the way, guys, another place I love, if you've been thinking of getting away to the Fallensby Inn, please consider coming the weekend of February 19th. I'm so excited. I'm announcing my first listener getaway, and I cannot wait to enjoy a wonderful weekend with all of you that take advantage of this offer. You really should. For my listeners, you will receive 10% off for that weekend. So last time I went to the Fallensby Inn, I had so much fun. Dennis cooked amazing breakfast. I mean, he's from New Orleans. It was one of the best breakfasts I've ever had. Delicious. Grits, biscuits, everything. And there were couples there that had actually purchased a cheap Astor deal. And so we all ended up hanging out, playing Battleship, sitting by the fire, having a drink. And it was so fun. And it was so nice to be around people who not only want to talk politics, but just have a good time and not take everything so seriously. And so I had this idea with the mailer manager. We said, we should do this for the weekend and let people know so that you don't just coincidentally run into me, but I'm going to be there. So the weekend of February 19th, it's going to be so much fun. My parents have visited the Fallensby Inn. They're going back again. They could not get over it. You may feel like you're back in your grandmother's kitchen. Like I said, the breakfast is just delicious. This time of year, you can take advantage of the inn's snowshoes and discover the beautiful area. It really is beautiful. Even if you just like to walk. I mean, that's all I do when I'm there. I just walk around, and it's just stunning. To reserve your room today, go to fallensbyinn.com. Excellence is assured. TripAdvisor has given the Fallensby Inn the Hall of Fame Award for 2018 and 2019. Fallensbyinn.com, the best of the past. We will be right back after this with Howard Lawrence Carr. This is The Grace Curley Show.
You can call her late for dinner. Just don't call her Gracie. It's The Grace Curley Show.